Alrighty, we are recording. There we go. Alright, so I'm supposed to tell you guys a story. Uh, and this is a story of why dogs can't talk or why dogs sniff each other's butts. This story originated in the Great Plains with the Indian tribes out there. Uh, yeah, alright. So here we go. All right, so our story starts centered on a hunter uh, and his dog, and they're out hunting and they're having a great time. Uh, and then they get back and they share the meal together and they're having this grand time. The hunter and his dog, and then late that night, the hunter wakes up and notices his dog's not there, guarding his tent. He goes out and he sees that none of the dogs. There's usually so many dogs in the encampment. But there's no dogs in the encampment either. So he goes out into the plains or the forest near the plains, and he he hears something. He hears all the dogs, and they're talking, and they're talking a bunch of shit. And oh wait, I forgot before I start the story. I'm supposed to take a hit off this bowl. So 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 back to the story. The hunter hears all the dogs out in the woods, and they're talking to each other because dogs can talk, and they're talking a bunch of shit. One of the dogs says his owner only gives him scraps. There's no good meat. Why don't you give me any of the good meat? And then the hunter hears his dog, and he's talking all the worst shit. Um, Saying like my owner's a good for nothing. Doesn't let me have any of the good meat either. And he thought he was very respectful, so the Great Spirit shows up. And the Great Spirit taps this guy on the shoulder who's like, thinking, oh, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to fuck these dogs up. And the Great Spirit's like, no, no, no. Don't worry, my man. We'll get them. They'll be out here tomorrow night and we'll get them. We'll get them then. So the guy goes back to the village, falls asleep, wakes up. All the dogs are back in the village. Everything's great. The dogs are saying, oh, I love you, this, that, the other. Uh, Later that night, he pretends to fall asleep. He waits for all the dogs to leave the village. And he goes out into the woods with the Great Spirit. And they've hunted a deer. And all the dogs are gorging on this deer, still talking all the mess about all the humans. And as all the dogs start to lay down and fall asleep for the night, the Great Spirit taps the guy on the shoulder and says, watch this. He walks over and starts touching all the dogs in the neck. And a light glows from their neck. And then he walks around to all the dogs and plucks all their tails off, one by one, and hangs them from each tree. So in the morning, all the dogs start waking up. And all the dogs are like, oh, well, we gotta hurry up and get back to the village. So they start trying to talk to each other, and all they can do is bark. So one of them just starts barking like a madman, trying to get like the others to like, listen. They, realize that none of them can talk, and they all just grab random tails off the trees because I gotta hurry up and get back to the village. And it's stated that to this day, that dogs all sniff each other's butts because they're all looking for their original tails. Thanks.